Hi, I'm back. Continuing my topic from before, and it's not so much a religion and ethics thing, um, but just more a personal thing I wanted to talk about. And I was sharing a little bit of my life and why I feel the way that I feel, and just judgmental people, and how I used to be a little bit that way myself, and why I've become a little more open-minded about certain things in recent years. And there are things that I'm still very much adamantly for or against. I'm not saying that I have no backbone and that I don't have any standards or beliefs on anything, that I'm just gonna, float away with the wind and go wherever the wind leads me. I do have things that I strongly believe in, but in more recent years I've become more open-minded about certain things. And one of those things is about the LGBT community, and I didn't for the longest time, but admit to it. But when I got older, when I reached adulthood, and a little ways into it, I realized that I'm bisexual, and it took me a little while to admit to it because of my upbringing. It's like I knew in the back of my mind, but I never would have wrapped my head around it because it was such a taboo thing growing up. So I wouldn't have been okay with gays, let alone admit to being gay myself. And now I'm partially out of the closet. I wouldn't say completely, because I haven't shouted it from the rooftops, and there are some family members that either don't completely know, or they're in denial about the fact that I'm bi or whatever, or think it's just a phase or something. But and even though I'm married to a dude, I did have a girlfriend at one point, and she ended up not really being the person that I thought that she was, and she ended up breaking my heart, and among other things that she did to me. So yeah, maybe people would be like, okay, then it must have just been a phase, and you're going to go back to men, and you're never going to think about what. No, you don't just wake up and decide one day you're going to be gay or not be gay, and or you're going to be cured. I still am and still will be attracted to women. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be necessarily getting into a relationship with a woman because there's a man that I care about and I love, and that's who I'm with. I think a lot of the misconception or misperception, I can't think of the word, about gays is, or especially about bisexuals, is that, it's a phase, or with bisexuals that, they're undecided, and no, I prefer the term biromantic versus bisexual, because it's not just about sex, and whoever I'm with, that's who I'm with. It's not like I'm just gonna be with a guy and be like, oh, there's a hot girl, and I'm done with you, bye. It's not like that. I mean, I think a lot of people think with gays they're just wishy-washy or whatever, and go where the wind leads them. But it's not like that. Or that, if someone's a lesbian or someone's a bisexual woman, that they're going to be attracted to all women. No, I mean, some people, you're just not my type, and that's okay. I mean, I would say that I do have a type when it comes to men as when it comes to women. But right now, currently, I am with a man, and I am content in that. That doesn't mean that I'm not still attracted to women, or that I'm, whatever situation I was in before, that was just a phase. So anyway, that aside, there are many other aspects that I've come to feel differently about. I don't applaud alcoholism, but I don't think that it's a sin issue. I think it's a health issue. as with cigarettes and smoking. I think that alcoholism is very dangerous. I think chronic smoking is dangerous, but I don't think it's a morality issue. I don't think it affects who you are as a person necessarily. I think people who are alcoholics may make some poor choices in life, and it may skew their sense of morality, because alcohol can tend to mess with someone's judgment. People may make poor choices while drinking alcohol, and it can affect other people around them. So I don't think that drinking or smoking in and of themselves are wrong. I think how you go about it can be right or wrong. I think if you're going to drink, you should drink responsibly. I think if you're going to smoke, be careful not to get addicted, because it not only affects you but other people with secondhand smoke, health issues. So it's not so much a morality issue unless you let it become that. The only way in that it's a morality issue is that if someone's an alcoholic, they may be more prone to abusing spouse or children. I think if someone's smoking, they need to be considerate of those around them. So, that aside, what other issues? When I mentioned the things that I mentioned that made my sister so upset and harsh with me, I mentioned that I would much prefer communing with God and nature, and instead of going to a prayer meeting, I'd much rather commune with God in nature, and then that somehow was wrong or diabolical in her perception. I think that, communing with other people who are like-minded and also believe in God is great, and the more the merrier, and so forth. But in my spirit, in the way I feel more at peace with God in nature. I'm not saying I'm a Wiccan or a pagan or anything like that. I'm not hating on them either, so don't get the wrong idea. But in my views of spirituality, I would much rather just enjoy the great outdoors and like beautiful vistas and everything than sit in a stuffy meeting house for an hour with people, praying fancy prayers to sound all spiritual. That to me just seems like a waste of time, my time. And so personally, I would prefer going out into the great outdoors and just praying and enjoying God and nature. I think of like the movie The Sound of Music, where Maria goes out into the great outdoors and she's just singing and dancing and having so much fun, and then she gets in trouble with the other nuns because she's not in the meeting house or the chapel, or she's late for chapel. Anyway, so I think of that, and that's kind of the way I see it. I would much rather be out in the outdoors and enjoying nature, enjoying the world that God made, versus sitting in a meeting house listening to people show off by making big flowery prayers that, are more to impress other people. That to me seems like a waste of time, and it seems a little bit fakey or false. So, and also as far as church goes, I mentioned something to my sister about revivals. I said, you can enjoy revivals, but I would much rather go out and go dancing. And how is dancing a bad thing? You even hear of dancing in the Bible. Excuse me. So, dancing supposedly is looked at as being evil. I can imagine if you're grinding on a guy that, you barely know, that can be construed as being evil or extremely sexual. But, dancing is not a bad thing. If dancing were a bad thing, then why would God make our bodies to move in that way? Why would he give us fluidity of movement to be able to dance and express ourselves in such a way if it were a bad thing? How is anything that God makes a bad thing? That's my thing. And another thing I mentioned is that, and I'm not advocating, just dressing like a skank hoe and just, like a streetwalker or whatever, but I see nothing wrong with embracing your body. But in so many, conservative circles, it's almost like the female body is, looked down on as being a bad thing and a shameful thing, and you should cover all that up. And head to toe cloth, head to toe fabric. And I saw that a lot growing up, Even the more, laid back conservative, still, it was a lot of fabric and everything. And it's like, you can't show any neck or any cleavage or, too much arm. You can't show your shoulders, because shoulders are shameful, it's your naked body, and you can't show off your legs, and it's ridiculous. So I mentioned wearing a bikini this summer, and I guess maybe that was the thing, that was the ticker. I don't know what it was that set her off, but I mentioned wearing a bikini or an LBD, a little black dress, and apparently that's wrong or immoral, because I'm going to make guys want to lust after me or rape me or whatever. And that's kind of the mentality that a lot of the conservative circles have, is that, you're automatically, causing someone to sin or think wrong thoughts or want to do improper things with you, with or without your consent, if you show too much skin. And that I never understood, even back in the day when I wore the prairie dresses. Well, quite literally, I wore things that resembled prairie dresses. Little House on the Prairie. And, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not condemning people who want to dress, more conservatively. That's okay. That's fine by me. If you want to dress that way, I'm not hating on you. But don't hate on me for embracing my womanly figure. The body that God and my mama gave me. That saying, shake what your mama gave you. I mean, how is that wrong? But that's the way I think, and that's something that she had a problem with. That I'm, just in the wrong for that. Oh, I think I mentioned something about alcohol. That Jesus turned the water into wine, and someone said, oh, well, that's blasphemy. How is it blasphemy? The Bible says it. And I think Peter or Paul or one of the apostles said something about taking a little wine for your stomach's sake and so forth. And there's plenty of references about wine in the Bible that are not in a negative way. And as we know today, there are some benefits to drinking wine. I don't know so much about beer, although sometimes I like a beer or two. But there are medical benefits for drinking wine, and so the Bible was right on with that it can be beneficial for certain things. But apparently that's wrong, and I can't remember what else I said that upset her. Oh, my children. And this is one of the things that upset me with her response to me. My children, I mentioned that, you can keep your daughter at home. What it was I put a status update on my Facebook called My Declaration of Independence. And I basically did this for the purpose of letting people know, hey, this is who I am. And you can accept it or not, but this is who I am. Because for the longest time I tried to just be whoever other people wanted me to be. And I will make another video because this one's getting long. I'm afraid it's not going to post.